Welcome back, Mosh Pit Podcast. We are here with Stefs Rock Show, and how you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Doing great. It has been a day. This is probably the earliest podcast I've done, for sure. For sure.
And I've been up for a long time already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You just rolled up out of bed, or you
rolled up out of bed, took a shower, got dressed, went to Walmart, did a couple things, and now I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, this is my house, by the way.
Oh, yeah. This is our house. We're just chilling here. Yeah, I haven't done a house little pod in a while. You always hear music in the background of sound check or something. So this is a different vibe for sure. I want to get in started of I want to commend you for like doing all the research on you. You have such a big history of in this scene, like LA, SAC, all around. So I just wanted to commend you for all your work, and you're done a great job. You're still doing a great job, and
you're killing it. Like I said, I'm just trying to get back in it. So I hit you up because I'm like, what's going on? I've been out of the game for a little bit. I got in it in 2004, and then I took a break for a while. So I'm trying to figure out what's new and hot in Sacramento's scene, more so than just LA.
Yeah. So starting in 2004, what was the first band interview that you ever did?
So it was Tommy of UFO, and I was really excited because I watched VH1, that metal show, a lot growing up, and Eddie Trunk's favorite band, and I'm a huge Eddie Trunk fan, and of his Sirius XM show, was UFO. So that's how I got turned on to UFO, and I found out that Tommy, the lead guitarist, actually was teaching guitar in Stockton at Guitar Center. So I got excited because I'm up in Lodi, and I contacted Tommy, and he wants to do an interview. I didn't tell him it was my first interview. I don't think any of us podcasters want to say, by the way, huge rock star that's toured Europe, this is my first interview ever. I still don't know what I'm doing. And I made all the 3x5 cards, and I researched him for hours. I wanted to be professional, but I was very nervous. Obviously, I just was like, Wayne's World, I'm not worthy, to Tommy of UFO. And you can tell I'm awkward. I'm socially awkward. And I'm a baby. I'm 18. And so, but it was you got to start somewhere. So it's good to get my feet wet.
Oh, yeah, trust me. You did better than my first. I mean, I didn't even do any research. I was like, I want to keep this natural. Because you see podcasts, and it seems like everything they say is not scripted. They don't have anything written down before. So, I just thought, you can just have a conversation. And that's how it works. And if you go back and watch my first podcast, you'll see me just sitting there with a lot of ums and ands and just,
That happens, though. I feel like there's a good balance, right, of some research and some banter, having your bullet points, and then sometimes I'll hear something that I didn't know, and I'll be like, I want to go into that, or I want to ask about that. So finding that balance.
Yeah, and I ask this to every single band or podcaster I've interviewed. I go, what is the craziest mosh pit you've seen or been in?
I love that because you're called Mosh Pit Podcast, so it's a staple that goes with your platform, so that's a great idea. Korn. Definitely Korn. I would say 99, and it's the only time I got injured. I was a crazy chick. I always hung out with a lot of boys and wasn't afraid to be one of the only girls in a mosh pit. And crowd surfing was my thing. That was my favorite thing. I always asked to be lifted up and crowd surfed. But I entered to a couple mosh pits, and everyone was looking out for me usually. But Korn got so nuts during Freak on a Leash. I just got plummeted to the ground. I got trampled. But it was fun. It was fun. I didn't get seriously hurt, but it definitely got wild.
Oh yeah, I've gotten injured a lot too, especially during Korn shows. I've gotten one of my eyebrow piercings ripped out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I've gotten knocked out before. I've gotten scratched right underneath my eye. It gets aggressive.
You're a big dude, so I feel like people wouldn't hold back at all too. They're he can hold his own, so I'm gonna go hard on him, and not people would be she's a little girl, I'm tiny, and so I think they were careful. But not Korn. I think we were all wasted. They were the headliner of that show.
This last Sunday was a really aggressive. Somebody had gotten knocked out, blood all over the face, had a seizure.
Wow. Sounds like a good time.
And then my other buddy got a gash in his eye, right next to his eye, and had to go get stitches.
I saw the video on your story. It looked good.
Oh, it was definitely intense. It was an intense show, but it was a good show because the lineup, I didn't know about it till last minute, so I couldn't get any podcasts, but we will have Keo Nashi on in the future. It was just a fun show because I haven't been to a show in a long time where I'm not filming and not worrying about my equipment.
You were just having fun and exploring. And I did that for the first time at Aftershock 2022. And that was really fun. A little bit out of body, but I was just a spectator watching every single show and bouncing from stage to stage and just living in the moment, not being like, do I have a band coming up? I have to get the equipment set up. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's why I like, because like I'm registered for Aftershock this year. And that's why I like when they said I get like two media passes. I was like, my audio engineer's going.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to worry about my equipment.
No. You need a partner that's going to help you and that knows what's going on. And I've done the fun girlfriends, and they're so cute. But then I actually like my guy friends that take it really seriously, and they're not drinking and partying, and they're like, we're setting up your camera stuff. So
Yep.
I know. I'm going to be at Aftershock 2 this year, so I'm excited.
That's going to be so much fun.
It's been a second.
I don't know, 11 years. I know, I want them to make like me a challenge coin. Because
Yeah.
I want to put that. Be like,
You have the tattoo. That's what I was like, that is wild. I know there's the Mohawk guy that puts Aftershock on the side, but your tattoo, I think, is the most dedication I've seen.
Oh, yeah. I've had a lot of people, especially when you're like around and you just see one of like the DWP freaking photographers or videographers or somebody from Sirius XM Octane just walking around, they see your tat, they're like, I gotta get a photo of that.
Yeah.
Because it's just a big promo and stuff. And like, I love it because.
Has Danny seen it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
He's seen it. Because I showed him it when I gave him my Mosh Pit Podcast shirt, and Katie Babs, the one that got me to start all this stuff, my shirt, because I never thought about doing this, honestly. I was just a kid that snuck backstage all the time, got kicked out by security, just wanted to say hi to the band all the time, and then Katie was just like, start it, do it. Just get a camera and do it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'm like, all right. So I started it, did a few. Then I legit did a few. Got head PE right after that.
No, that's legit.
And it was just insane. It's just like, you never know what's going to happen. That's why I tell people, I'm like, try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least you know in the future that you're not going to regret not trying it at least.
No, it's so fun. Definitely do it. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, do it.
Yes.
You know?
I've even told bands, I'm like, that have like really good communication.
Yeah.
And like tell them, I'm like, you can take your band name and turn it into a podcast name and let people know like updates of your life and stuff with the band. Because
and they have access to so many artists all the time. Like that's half the battle, right? So they could interview people they're on the road with or they come in contact with, and then it's going to promote their band more. That's a great point.
I know. I've even had like the bookers at Goldfield was like, why don't we do that? I was like, you could do that. You just set up in your green room. But you guys are always busy all the time, worrying about tickets, setting up everybody, making sure bartenders are good, stage is good, security. But I'm like, if you have time and they get here early enough, you're always able to film. And I'm like, I'll even come here and film for you guys, and then I'll do my own.
Yeah.
It's just how we work. I'm like, because I tell people all the time, like, this is a family. No matter what, we're all reaching for the same goal.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. But I do want to lead into what got you into the rock genre? Like back in the day, like what was that song that you listened to that just pulled you into this music?
Just definitely going to the record store and buying Mechanical Animals by Marilyn Manson. It blew my mind. I grew up in a more strict religious household. So getting my hands on Manson with boobs on him and red hair and then the lyrics and the music. I mean, my dad grew up with 80s hair metal, so I heard it in the car, a lot of Motley Crue or Aerosmith as well. But I would say like blew my mind was that Manson, and I just wanted to listen to it over and over and over. And then I also branched off and got more into like Ozzy and Slayer, Pantera. I got into harder things off of that album, and it opened my eyes to, wow, okay, there's some crazy shit out there, and I like this. And I'm going to get in trouble for listening to this, but I want to do it. That was me.
Oh, yeah. And I swear, if anybody says otherwise, you are liars. Because in elementary school, I was the only kid that used to wear corn merch or any kind of band merch. And it wasn't until middle school all the like emo kids popped out.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, and then people were like, all right, well, you've always liked this. And then I've even given friends like Jonathan Davis autographs that I like met him, and I've gotten a few from them, and Black Veil Brides autographs and stuff like that. I was always the guy that like snuck backstage and just interviewed and did all this stuff to like, not interview, but like just meeting them to a guy that went to interview. And I have friends from back in the day that says, you honestly found your profession because you were always like that person that just wanted to just go meet and hang out. You weren't like a crazy fan. You just wanted to know them.
Yeah.
Wanted to meet them.
I love music so much. I appreciate music. I really want to know how they wrote the song or why they got in the band or what their next move is. And so I just am so excited to interview artists or work in radio or listen to new music that it really excited me to be in the groove.
Oh yeah, it is. And especially when you build that relationship and like you just get to know more about them, and then like in the future if you see them, especially if they remember you and stuff like that, and like you're able to build off and then add more and then add more, and then eventually that friendship turns into, let's come back on the podcast, let's talk more bullshit.
Yeah.
Just like have fun with it. Because
I'm at the point where I'm having bands on and it's been like 20 years and it's been 15 years and I'm like, how did this happen? And that we still have had this like little banter relationship on social media, and it's been a long time, and we can catch back up and have a new interview, and it's just like, where has time gone? It's cool when a band remembers you too, because I get shocked. I'm like, what? I interviewed you like 15 years ago, you know, like how like Maria from In This Moment was like, hey, Steph, backstage, and I interviewed her like 9 years ago at that point, and I'm like, no way, you're like, my God, you're amazing. And I don't know, and there's not as many females, I will say too, that helps me stand out a little bit. There's more male DJs and like male podcasters.
Yeah.
But females are it's becoming more common.
Oh yeah, I always represent the females too. That's why I have interviewed some female lead bands. Like I was gonna do like a segment for 1 month, but one of them had to cancel, where I was gonna have just all female artists.
Oh, cool.
Of just like representing them and representing how their sound is, because I was getting like different sounds. I was talking, the one I had canceled, but we'll have back on, which is Holy Wars.
Oh, cool.
They, like these female bands and stuff like that of just...
I love Butcher Babies, and like they're all just so badass. Like, I don't know. There's something I instantly get along with a female when I see that she is leading the band and she's going crazy on stage, jumping up and down, and she's all tatted, and she has very alpha energy, and I dig that.
Yes, because like it's definitely was like, it used to be, the metal music industry used to be a male leading role.
Oh, yeah.
But now it's turned into this female also industry of just like them surprising all of us, of just like how their vocals can be, their ranges, and how they can write and like be so deep and like everything. And it's just like, it's the same thing.
Who's that really sexy girl? It's like Sophie that does guitar. She has like long blonde hair, and she played with Machine Gun Kelly for a little bit. And I think it is Sophie, and she is just drop dead gorgeous, like a cute cheerleader with a little rocker edge, and she rips on guitar. Like, she's super talented.
I think I know what you're talking about.
She keeps coming up on my reels, and I'm like, wow.
One of my favorites, the lead singer from In This Moment.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maria. She's neat. I love also an artistic visualization when you perform. So not just talent when you're performing, but the screens, the backup dancers, the blood, like a whole art show while I'm watching you musically perform. I like the combo.
Oh, yeah. And that's what was nice about seeing, like, I mean, I know he's not female, but Danny Elfman. Yeah. Seeing him live in Sydney World, I was just, like, blown away by...
I love Nightmare Before Christmas, and, like, yeah.
He put a lot of twists to it, of just, like, going metal movie soundtrack. It was just going back and forth, which was awesome.
It's cool when you can, like, go in between genres and bounce everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Like, what's the craziest concert, like, if you can think, just quick memory, quick look, what's a concert that you'll never forget that you went to?
Definitely this combination, and I've talked about it a couple times on radio because it's so crazy to me. So it was Ozzy Osbourne, the headliner, Marilyn Manson, Eminem, and Papa Roach. What? It was called the Anger Management Tour. I remember that. And this was in 2003 that I caught the show in San Francisco, or the Bay Area. And it was so cool. Papa Roach opens up, and they're massive, right? Like, Last Resort is just a thing, right? So they weren't that well known. And so Papa Roach was the opening band. And then Eminem is on a Ferris wheel, on a large Ferris wheel on stage that he constructed. And he jumps off the Ferris wheel singing like, Marshall Matters and starts a show. And then after Eminem, Marilyn Manson turns it into a gothic castle and pops out and sings. And then Ozzy Osbourne finishes the night. And you're like, what just happened that Eminem popped in with these rockers? But I just think that was like really cool. All 4 of them were phenomenal. Mind blown.
That is the wildest lineup. Other than
it's kind of different.
Other than like Family Values that I've ever
heard.
Other than Family Values.
Yeah, you had Korn and Limp Bizkit and just the late 90s. I would have loved to do 99 Woodstock. I wish I was old enough I wasn't to hit 99 Woodstock, but when I watched the documentary, I probably would have died though.
Oh, I've told a lot of bands. I'm like, that's like one of my dream things I wish I got to be at.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. They're just covered in mud and it's the best like 90s rock bands. I don't know. And I like Creed's coming back now. Like a lot of 90s stuff is coming back.
I know. That's why
becoming popular.
It's so awesome, like starting growing in the scene when everybody's coming back and just like reuniting and everything. And that's what's awesome. And like there's so many like dream podcasts, so many ideas. Like I have like pages and pages of bands that I have dreams of interviewing that I already have questions ready for.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I think I just come up with one band and then I try to find their PR or their media contact and interview them. But I don't think I've made like a large list. And I think that's a great, even just a manifest and a wish list of this is all the people I want to interview. And I'm good about putting the positive energy out into the world and that it could actually happen. So, and I'm getting into reality shows too. I'm definitely branching out recently because I'm just now watching reality TV. So I want to do music and reality TV.
Yep. Oh yeah, I just interviewed a band that I wrote questions for a year ago.
That's cool.
I like already had questions ready, and like all I did was
you were stoked. You're like, I've done my research. I've wanted to interview you for a year. And
oh yeah,
the bands appreciate that when they know. Like, I think when I first started out, I didn't want them to know I was a fan because I wanted to try to separate that from I'm a rock journalist. I'm just going to interview you. And I don't want them to think I'm just a fan. And now I'm completely opposite. If I love the band, I'll be like, hey, by the way, I'm a super fan. Like, I'm really into your music. And now I'm excited to interview you. Because they're appreciative of that.
I'm not like that.
What do you mean?
I legit will go to shows and be like, because I have people that have told me like, oh, you're a good podcaster or whatever. I'm like, I'm not, like, I legit will say, I'm not a podcaster. I'm just a fan that likes to hang out with bands.
That's cool. You did the opposite route. Like now I'll admit it. I'll be like, I'm just a huge fan of the music industry and I just love like being engulfed in it and recently I've been meeting a lot of new bands. So it's cool. Like I'm just learning a lot about new bands and a lot on the East Coast and stuff that my buddies have just all sent to me. I know you just sent me a couple. So I'm excited to, I don't know. Not just festivals, but bands that I don't know in different states that I'm interviewing.
Oh yeah, I've had some bands on from different I have some bands from Vegas, Reno, L.A., Texas, Minnesota, all around the U.S. and it's just awesome because also afterwards, like the podcast, I always want to hear what it's like there, how the scene is there.
Yeah.
So I know if I can like come out and like I'll be able to like know what the scene is about, and also if like they play a show from their hometown, I can like go to it and like see what the openers are like or the closers are like, and that's what I'm about. It's just like I want that adventure, I want that story because I'm all about the story.
Yeah.
And because if you're not making memories in life, then what's the point?
Have fun, do what you want, have a good time. I have no regrets for sure.
Like, what's your hobbies other than music?
So that's what I was just telling you before the interview. So I'm in real estate. I do serving and bartending, and I have 2 kids. So I don't know if I would say a personal hobby, because the hobby is my podcast for sure, and music. That's my personal me time. But I love real estate. I wish, podcasting paid the bills, right? Like that would be awesome. If I turned into Howard Stern and became like this X in person, that would be the dream. But it doesn't. So I flip houses, just buy them and do them up and resell them. And then serving and bartending, I actually love because I love people. So I like that it reminds me of podcasting. Like I'm talking to them, I want to know their story or I want to help them and serve them. So it's cool. But I don't have a lot of time for like a random painting or like hobby right now. I'm thick in the busyness of life.
Oh yeah, I can feel it too. It's like I've even asked like bands and people in this industry. I'm like, how do you balance, like, music and family time, and having time to
It's
yourself?
hard. A lot of them have to have incredible wives at home. When I've talked to them
Yep.
that hold down the fort and raise the kids, and kudos to those wives that are okay with their husbands going out on the road and playing music and being. There's groupies, there's temptation, there's alcohol and drugs, and they're just saying it's okay, honey. I'll raise the kids and stay home. I don't know. I don't think I could do that. Like I've thought about that a lot. Like I'd want to go play and be on tour with my husband.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of the wives are phenomenal for not getting mad or jealous and staying home and holding down the fort.
Oh, trust me, I have some buddies that are in bands and stuff. They have amazing wives. They have like four or five kids, and like they go out and they do their shows, but they know that's what they do. It makes them money, but also brings them happiness.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're paying the bills, right? They're sending home the check, so you got to be okay with it. But I don't know. I need quality time, so I don't think I could like be away from my partner on tour. Like I dated people in music, and I had to go on tour with them. I wasn't gonna stay home.
Oh yeah, I've taken like a couple of girls to like a show, and then they're like, "You're not paying attention to me. You're just talking to bands," and I'm just like, "I'm sorry, but this."
Well,
is
that's expected, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've dated guys and brought them as cameramen, and they've gotten jealous. Like, you're talking to bands. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk to bands, interview them, and network for other bands. But it's not like I would ever, I don't know, not take my significant other around next to me, hold their hand, like make them feel okay. But
Yeah.
not everyone can handle the lifestyle of music and backstage, and it being sometimes crazy and sometimes wild. Sometimes it's really calm though. Sometimes people think it's going to be insane, and it's like we're all having tea or water, and I'm literally just relaxed like on a chair. So it's backstage isn't always like as the Dirt Motley Crue, perceived it.
I know me and a couple bands want to do like a little video of like how people think it is in the green room compared to how it actually is.
Yeah.
Because it's legit like being in your front room of your house on a day off and you're just chilling. That's exactly how it is in a green room.
Yeah.
Especially like, I mean, not all the time, but a good amount of the time at a show, you'll go into the green room, you'll see at least two band members on the couch asleep.
Taking a nap. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they'll be like, give me a stage call. And then you'll have like one or two others in the back trying to be quiet, drinking beer. And then the rest are on their phones or upstairs doing sound check.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like maybe 1 out of 10 times is there some wild drinker, or just one out of the guys in the band is just chugging a fifth of something and talking to a lot of girls. I feel like there's just always one troublemaker in each band that turns up, and then the other 3 or 4 people are just relaxed and chill and like actually practicing or warming up. So.
Oh yeah. That's like, I think the craziest times is when like there's no one that wants to go into the green room because like there's like either no really green room, like it's a little closet, or there's just like there's no green room at all. That's when it's like the craziest because they're out and about doing everything, and then like it just gets chaotic. It does. I've been there for chaotic shows. I have smoked weed with a lead singer, and we got way too high before a show, went and got McDonald's and sat in my car and watched Netflix till he had to go on stage.
That sounds like fun. I like that.
Oh yeah, that's when I stopped like smoking and like drinking a lot at shows, because I was just like, this was after the interview, it was done, but I was just like, I feel like I'm dying.
But you realize you want to enjoy the show. So I used to dabble in things, and I don't want to get so messed up to where I don't remember the show and fully enjoy it. So I try to stay a little bit more present.
What was your favorite band though? Like, what was like the band that like you've had in your podcast that's like was like almost either detrimental to like how you started podcasting, or in other words?
I would say not how I started, but my favorite, because we're more like family now, is Steel Panther. Because when I started Steel Panther in 2006 at the Viper Room, they were metal school, and there was like 20 people that would come out, and we were all like, this is hilarious. They're a joke doing the 80s and hair metal. And so I like started supporting them right when they came out. And then I dated Travis, that used to be the bass player, and that's how I got to be good friends with Ralph and they're Michael and Satchel are their stage names. And so I interviewed them right when I got the podcast started, and I wasn't big enough to even interview them really. And then they just come back on my show recently and just kind of stayed in contact over 20 years, which is like crazy to me. So just that they allowed me to interview them when they were starting to get big, and then they've exploded in that 20 years. Like they're in Europe right now touring. It's just awesome.
I know that's one band that I would love because like
they're funny too, right?
Yeah, they're
like
funny.
You're not worried about seriousness in your questions because we literally were like, let's start it like you're giving me head in the bathroom. And I'm like, yes, that's fucking genius. Like it's just, we can be silly and playful and it's not awkward or like difficult.
Because not a lot of bands that you can have that comedy side to.
Yes.
Because there's a good amount of metal music that's a lot serious, which I'm not saying any of my bands were, so don't be offended, please. If you are listening, you're like, is my band serious? But
I get it though. They take their music very serious, and you do too. But like knowing the band is a joke, so you can kind of say the most outlandish, crazy things, and like their sexual humor. You can take it. They're not going to get offended. I love knowing that going into an interview. Yes. So that's probably like one of my favorite parts. I can talk about them being crazy and orgies and stuff. I'm good. I have time still.
All right, but we're going to get to the last question real quick.
I have a band.
It's all good. It's all good. It's
Not yet. I totally have 20 minutes. Podcast life.
But yeah, like having that, because like bands, I've had bands ask me when we come on the podcast or something like that, they go, is there anything we can or can't say? Is there anything you want me to do? And I go, be yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I want is just genuality.
The freedom you get off the radio with podcasting is awesome because I've done a couple morning shows and you have to be really careful. You can't cuss, you can't offend someone. You have to be even careful about your views and how you state your views. So the fact that I love that this is my new podcast, by the way, Stefs Rock Show, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. It's Steph with an F, SDFSROCKSHOW. I can say whatever I want. I'm not endorsed by anyone, or there's no commercial ads coming on that might disagree with what I have to say. So I love that the freedom of the bands can cuss. I don't have to worry about what the bands do and say. It's badass.
Yeah. It's so much fun. And all of her stuff will be down in the link below.
Oh, sweet.
Please go like, follow, subscribe, check her out, everything.
Thank you.
And if you're a band that I've interviewed or not interviewed or you're just watching, hit her up.
And you want to come on my show.
Yep.
And you got to come on. I had him on my show, so you can go watch our interview, and I had him by my virtual show.
Yep. So, yeah, go watch it. Go watch everything. And because it's a fun game out here in the podcast. And if you're trying to start a podcast, do it.
Yeah.
And speaking of, starting it, what was, because I know your name's Stephanie, but, what was the backstory behind doing Stephanie's Rock Show? Was it just okay, I'm gonna just do a plain and simple name, just Stefs Rock Show, or? So
this is silly because it's more about what I had with the show that I thought would be funny. I literally looked down on the ground at rocks and I'm like, they're free. They're at my college because that's where I started Stefs Rock Show at University of the Pacific. And I saw rocks and I was like, oh, I bought the website stephaniesrockshow.com and I picked up rocks and I wrote in Sharpie stephaniesrockshow.com on rocks. So I would have you on my guest and then give you a rock. And it really exploded. At first I thought, oh, this is silly and stupid and ridiculous. Oh, yeah. But so many bands laughed, or I'd see them 5 to 6 years later and they still had my rock that I gave them from Stephanie's Rock Show. So I just liked the play on words, that I gave you a rock and it's rock and roll. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
That's my silly
awesome.
idea.
Oh, trust me, I get it. But I remember when I decided I was going to start the podcast, Mosh Pit Podcast was the first the name that popped up in my head. And the reason was because I was a kid that just was always in the pit. I started pitting when I was 13.
You're crazy.
I was 13 years old in the pit. I remember my friend now, we were young. She's a little bit older than me, but she was like, I remember you when you were 14 in the pit. Because I showed her a picture from back in the day, and she goes, I remember you as a kid at that show.
You're just fearless in all the mosh pits. Because
the mosh pit I see is the most devoted people to the music in the crowd, because
you're going hardcore.
You're
feeling it. You're in your bones feeling the music. We're going to rage.
Oh, yeah. And, if you have a great pit that you go into, it's, the most comfortable pit. You will not get hurt. It is, everybody's there for each other. If you fall, somebody will help you back up. I've helped many people back up. It's just having fun. And you do the craziest stuff where I'll, grab somebody's hand, we'll go in circles super fast, or someone will pick somebody up take them in circles, and we'll try to stand straight up.
Oh my God.
It gets.
I have to go into a mosh pit with you. That's gold. I'll go to a show with you and I'll go into a mosh pit.
Oh, it's the.
And see how long I survive.
It's the time of the life.
I'm a couple years older than him, so we'll see if I don't die of a heart attack.
But I want to thank you for coming on, and if you want to promote any other stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Definitely check out Stefs Rock Show. I'm on the gram a lot and YouTube. I've had that YouTube channel since forever, from LA to SAC, and I want to do new bands, like I said, reality shows, current events, and eventually even go live a lot and do podcasting live all the time. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
No problem. It was a blast, and we're still at the beginning, guys. We're about a year and a half in, and
you're just gonna get bigger, and you're definitely, I see something huge with you. So
we got a lot more scheduled, and this is my first year posting weekly with a different person every week. So it's definitely
a lot of work, but it's exciting. There's a lot of new content.
It's a lot of new content, new stories, new experiences, and every time I post a video. Oh, and by the way, June 1st, I'll say June 1st because I don't know what day it is. June 1st, I will be posting something on Instagram, and it's for a giveaway.
Ooh.
I'm not going to say where, but this June 1st, it'll be a giveaway. So the end of this week, go check it out. Follow all of her stuff, and we'll catch you next time, Mosh Pit. Later.